Hi there, welcome to the latest episode of my 10-minute moan. And the topic of this 10-minute moan is this man here, who for the second time in his career has ignored victims of the most heinous crime of outside murder. So this is John Swinney. And as I'll tell you in a story, twice in his career, and very, very strong positions in Parliament, he has ignored calls to include certain people or even hold an inquiry for those abused as minors. And this story, it's from the heart of Scottish cities, takes in Edinburgh closes, Glasgow's avenues and Dundee's quiet harbours. Dark secrets fester for years. Organised groups have preyed on our most vulnerable children, groomed, exploited and silenced. But in 2025, as the UK launches a national reckoning, Scottish Parliament leader is turned away again. This is a story of John Swinney's refusal for the second time, a decision that echoes the pains of hundreds, if not thousands of victims and raises questions. Why won't Scotland listen? I'm going to have a look at the 2025 inquiry snub into words that I can't use on YouTube but start with a G. The voices that silence and the fight that rages on. The grooming gangs aren't just an English problem, they're Scottish too. These are organised networks that target vulnerable young people, often girls as young as 12, with manipulation, drugs and violence. In Scotland, we've seen it unfold in the shadows. In Dundee, a Romanian-led gang was convicted in late 2024 for the organised RAPE and exploitation of 10 women, many lured as teenagers. Operations like Operation Dash and Cotswold have uncovered networks right here, from Leith streets to Edinburgh's underbelly. A bombshell in August 2025 report by MP Rupert Lowe. His independent inquiry exposed the extent of 5 regions hit hard: Aberdeen, Angus, Argyll and Bute, Glasgow and Edinburgh, with over 650 recorded cases of group-based child exploitation since only 2016. Now, if your maths work out, even use 10 years as an example, that is more than one case per week. Survivors speak of being passed around like commodities, ignored by those sworn to protect. Yet officials, data lacks, ethnicity isn't backed robustly. They're in failures south of the border where fears of racism, accusations like Pakistani origin gangs in Rotherham and Rochdale thrive unchecked for decades. In Scotland, 19 men were reported to the Crown Office in one case alone. 14 were deported, but what of the rest? This isn't history. This is happening now, with whistleblowers and police pleading for action. John Swinney's hands aren't clean of this shadow. As Education Secretary in 2016, he blocked expanding the Scottish Child Abuse Inquiry, launched in 2015 to probe historical residential care abuse, from covering day schools, youth groups or Scottish football. Survivors from White Flowers Alba called it a betrayal, demanding his resignation as thousands were left out in the cold. He cited unwieldedness, but critics like Labour's Ian Gray decried it as a dodge delaying justice. Fast forward to 2015, amid football abuse scandals, Swinney pushed the SFA for its review, refusing to integrate it into the Scottish Government one. SCIA Chair Lady Smith later slammed the SNP's pre-2015 lack of urgency, noting survivors dying while waiting. Swinney himself admitted in 2020 testimony that even Alex Salmond resisted inquiry over feasibility fears. By April 2025, as First Minister, he faced calls from Labour MP Joni Reid to criminalise non-reporting of child abuse. Mandatory reporting for those working with kids. Isn't it crazy that that is not mandatory? His reply, tepid: duties exist, but under review via SCAI, which won't report until 2026 at the earliest. In July, amid UK-wide pressure post-Casey audit, Scottish advocates like Sandra Brown warned grooming operates in every town and city. Swinney, complacency. Doubling down in denial despite documented cases. This pattern, delay, deflect, deny, sets the stage for 2025's ultimate rebirth. Now enter September 2025. The most crystallises the refusal. On the 11th, during heated First Minister's questions in Holyrood, Scottish Conservative leader Russell Finlay voiced steady but urgent. He pushed amendments to the Victims Witness and Justice Reform Scotland Bill, due for a final vote just days later, the 17th, to mandate a dedicated grooming jig inquiry. Give those victims a voice, he pleaded, invoking Keir Starmer's June U-turn south of the border, where a national probe was greenlit after Casey's damning audit exposing institutional blindness. Finlay highlighted Scotland's 650 plus cases. They ignored reports. The deported suspects vanishing into limbo. Swinney's response? Cold shoulder. I'm not persuaded of the necessity of that further inquiry. He declared eyes fixed on the chamber. He touts the SCAI's ongoing work. Police Scotland exploring individual cases and vague promises of Crown Office advice. Maybe future scrutiny if evidence demands. No commitment, no fire. Finlay fired back a brutal snub to crime victims, risking a two-tier justice where English survivors get answers but Scottish ones get excuses. The Herald called it a clash over crime record. The Scottish Daily Express a dangerous message to predators. BBC footage captured the tension. Swinney unmoved, opposition searing. This isn't oversight, it's deliberate choice. Echoing Casey's warnings of denial and resistance from agencies, while the bill passing without amendment, victims wait yet again. The fallout will be devastating. Survivors, like those in Operation Cotswold, describe nights of terror, mornings of disbelief as reports vanish into bureaucracy. One Dundee victim, speaking anonymously in 2025, recounted being traded by a gang while social workers looked away. Fears of community backlash, trumping her safety. Reid's letter to Swinney in April warned Scotland is not immune. Failure to act is unforgivable. Without inquiry powers, compulsion to testify, public accountability, these stories stay buried. Perpetrators emboldened, families shattered, trust in institutions crumble. The Casey audit south showed overrepresentation of Asian and Pakistani men in data. We are collected, yet poor tracking hides patterns here too. Swinney's not persuaded. It sounds not just voices, but futures. Kids still at risk in Angus back roads of Aberdeen estates. As Brown puts it, gangs lurk in every city. Reid adds mandatory reporting could save lives. But Swinney says wait till 2026. This refusal isn't policy, it's pain. John Swinney's 2025 refusal isn't abstract. It's a scar on Scotland's conscience, a chapter and a legacy of hesitation that dates back a decade. The UK inquiry probes south. Why must Scottish victims beg for parity? Finlay's amendments were a lifeline. Swinney cut it. But the fight isn't over. Survivors demand extend the UK probe north, fund local inquiries, and act mandatory reporting now. Contact your MSP. Join our campaign organisations. Even support the Scottish Tories. Or Labour's pleas. Demand Swinney reconsiders. Justice delayed is justice denied, but voices raised can force change. The children still waiting in the shadows. Will Scotland finally listen? I don't think they will. And it's disturbing in 2025 we still have these issues. A government not very keen in highlighting and looking into crimes against children. Some people even use this as an excuse for independence, where they claim it's England or the UK's problem. It's not. It is here, right on my doorstep. People like him have ignored it twice now. When I played football for a club who has had almost 10 of its coaches when I was a child guilty in a court of law for abusing children. And this man here refused sporting clubs to be in the initial inquiry. It's been going for 10 years and we still don't know the outcome. He told us that the SFA must do that. The SFA don't have the same powers as Scottish Government. And now history repeats itself when he's in the most powerful position in Scotland. And yet again, he refuses to give the victims the outcome they require, and indeed the whole of Scotland deserves. Because if there is no inquiry, not only are those who perpetrated the crimes safe, but also are those who helped cover it up. And that is one of the biggest problems we have. So if you want others to see this video, click the thumbs up, hit the share button and put comments below. If you've not already done so, please consider subscribing to the channel. But the most important thing of all, unless you're the type of person who thinks abusing children is acceptable, or you're the type of person like we have who try to bring in words like minor attracted person, unless you're the type of person who's turned a blind eye because you didn't want to upset communities, then not you. None of you. Everyone else, have a great day. Cheerio, bye now.